we're going to ban AfriForum because we cannot have an organization that advocates purely.
Who are begging. I'm not Cyril Ramaphosa. I don't beg them. I will never beg them. They are going to stay here if they agree to be equal to black people. And I can tell you, my brother, I
fornicate around and find out. And that is precisely what has happened with the AfriForum today, because your Vice President Donald Trump, who was ordered by President Elon.
Hey fam, great to here once again. Welcome back to the channel. I am hoping that from wherever you my people are watching this from, you're doing alright and God has protected you and preserved you very well. And to you that continuously give support to me on here, I do appreciate you. And to my members, a shout out to you guys. You do me amazing as well. And as always, we are back with another juicy, interesting one. Yeah. Magaman signed an executive order granting refugee status to the palm-colored people from South Africa. And it is very interesting to see that he's getting rid of people in his country to grant a status to people that look like him. Anywho, they said a lot of things and lied on South Africa and how they're being mistreated and how South Africans are grabbing land from them. But as soon as the Magaman said, you know, we are granting you refugee status and we are going to put sanctions on South Africa, yeah, they are backing down and they are saying, you know, we didn't say that. We don't want to come there. This is our home. We want to stay. But that's not the most interesting part. Yeah. These people, there is a reason as to why they are making all these allegations. There is a man that they hate so much in, you know, South Africa, which is Julius Malema. We are going to look at a compilation of, you know, some of the nuggets that Julius Malema keeps releasing on them. And guys, please stay around. We're going to see another clip of them, the accusers of South Africans doing stuff to them, right? Them doing the unthinkable. And you will see why they don't like the fact that there's a man that is trying to get them out of this country. And you know, he's like, you know, I don't care. But anyways, let's watch this first, come back and talk about it.
If we take over government, we're going to ban AfriForum because we cannot have an organization that advocates purely racial hatred and say it is a legitimate organization. Our constitution does not allow that. And therefore, we need a decisive government that is going to say this is a terrorist organization and we can't coexist with it. It has to fall. So AfriForum will fall because it represents backwardness. And the ANC's inability to deal with white supremacy and white arrogance is what gives life to this kind of organization.
not the other way around. We are the I've never met a white person who says, let's preach reconciliation. They don't preach reconciliation. The victims are the ones who are preaching reconciliation. Victims, because who are begging. I'm not Cyril Ramaphosa, I don't beg them. I will never beg them. They are going to stay here if they agree to be equal to black people. And I can tell you, my brother, I hear your accent. South African whites, they don't fear war. They don't fear blood. They don't fear any land taken from them. They know it will never happen. They fear equality. That's the only thing they are scared of. That they are going to be equal to monkeys. That's the only thing they fear. They know this Malema, they've listened to my talks. They know even when they reported me to Human Rights Commission, there's nothing hate about what this guy is saying. They know that. my crime is to demand an equality. That's a crime I'm committing in this country. To demand that the white minorities must come down from their high horses and humble themselves and work with fellow South Africans. These Africans have got no problem with whites. Actually, they love them too much. Some of them hate me because they think I hate white people. Or, hey, this one is going to make whites go. This one. They hate me for that. That's how much they love white people. They are prepared to sacrifice their own brother in protection of white people. That's how much they love. They have no problem with it. It is white people who have a problem with Africans. They do not see themselves being at the same level with Africans. And it's not only the white farmers, it's not the white managers in the newsrooms, it's not the white editors only. Go to the Supreme Court of Appeal in the judiciary. I sit in the JSC there. How the white judges in the Supreme Court of Appeal look down at their colleagues at the highest level of educated whites. Don't think it's just a child of a farmer who has a problem with black people. An educated white judge at the highest level has got a problem with an educated and over-educated African judge. When they write a judgment, they ridicule the judgments of Africans. When an African or a colored wants to make reference to the best reported judgment of an African, they say, no, don't use that. Use this one. They give you an alternative white reported judgment at the highest, second highest court. That's how difficult it is. Our black brothers have got no problem with white people. White people have got problem with us. No one is good. No one here. And some of us were even privileged because with the money we're getting in parliament, we've taken our children to private schools. Because there's no public school here in South Africa. Schools have collapsed. They befriend white kids. They bring them there in our houses. When we slaughter, we must start slaughtering with these friends of our kids. Do you think our children are going to allow that? We are building a completely new society where black and Africans are embracing one another. The problem is this old age. They have a big problem, those guys. Because they know the privilege of apartheid. The young ones don't know the privilege of apartheid. They know the privilege of being called a madam and a boss. And then calling older women girls and older men boys. They know that privilege. And today is no more. That's what offended them. So I'm not going to beg them to stay here. I'm not begging anyone, especially white people. If they want to go, they can go. At least they've got somewhere to go. We don't have anywhere to go if things don't go right. We've got only here to go. So any white that says I'm going, you must know their loyalty is not with us because they've got 2 passports. They are not South Africans. They are half South African, half British. They can go. They must live quietly.
We're going to see another clip of them, the accusers of South Africans doing stuff to them, right? Them doing the unthinkable. Graphic, you're gonna see it on the screen.
There were tears on both sides of the courtroom in the so-called coffin case. It was a case that laid bare the ongoing racial divide in post-apartheid South Africa. On Friday, a judge sentenced Theo Jackson to 14 years and Willem Oosthuizen to 11 years in prison.
The most appalling act by the accused was to put a living person in a coffin against his will under threats of killing him.
Video shot by the men on a mobile phone led to nationwide condemnation and eventually their arrests. Victor Maloshwa says he was taking a shortcut on the men's farm when they kidnapped him, drove him to another location, forced him into a coffin, and threatened to kill him. In their defense, the farmers say Maloshwa was trespassing. They caught him stealing copper cables and said he threatened to kill their families and burn their crops. But the judge pointed out this was not the first time. The men had forced someone into a coffin, and their behavior had, quote, fueled racial tensions. Analysts say this case spotlights the haves and the have-nots in South Africa, which is largely split along racial lines.
We are having to come to terms with exactly who we are as a country. We're a country that is built on racism, on cheap labor, on sexism, on patriarchy.
In sentencing the two men, the judge said they showed no remorse. Their prison sentences should send a message to others that this kind of behavior will be punished, and punished severely.
It is white people who must be ashamed of what they've done to us. You cannot turn tables now and want to blame me for the crimes committed by white people. It is a white regime that killed children in 1976. It is the white regime that killed children in the 80s and in the early 90s. It is white people who engaged in the wars of dispossession and forcefully took our land and our cows. Why can't you take responsibility? Why can't you for once just say sorry for the crimes we've committed against you? Why do you want to become victims when we are the biggest victims here? When we have lost everything? When we as black people remain a traumatized nation, a nation that doesn't know what the future holds for them. At least you are guaranteed the future. At least you know if it doesn't work for you here, you can go somewhere else. We've got nowhere to go. And then you come here and want to accuse me, a victim of racism, of being a racist. It's a huge insult, not only to me, but to black people. Madiba coerced us into reconciling with people who have never been one with. That was a myth. It is unrealistic. You can't reconcile if you've never been together. You never came here with an intention to be with us. You came here with an intention to conquer us, and we remain conquered.
AfriForum must tell us why white people in white events must continue displaying the apartheid flag. And it is true that AfriForum is entitled to promote its culture. What it is not entitled to do is to promote racism. And by retaining apartheid street names, it was promoting racism. Precisely by arguing for the continued display of the apartheid flag, it's promoting racism.
We want to make it very clear that we should not be confused with a generation of cowards who can be bullied by imperial forces and power-hungry individuals intoxicated by the wealth of apartheid. The United States of America has bullied nations before and imposed senseless and arbitrary sanctions and threatened wars. But we are a different generation. We are a generation of economic freedom fighters and will not be bullied, Mr. President. We agree with you, President, that we should not be bullied. We stand on the shoulders of the giants who confronted the establishment with their very lives, and we are willing to follow in their footsteps. We are not cowards, and they must not try us.
Fornicate around and find out, and that is precisely what has happened with the AfriForum today, because your Vice President Donald Trump, who was ordered by President Elon Musk to impose, maybe not really impose sanctions, but to sign an executive order today, and that executive order is prioritizing white Afrikaners as giving them a refugee status to the United States. And what's happening now with AfriForum is that they are in panic mode. absolute panic mode because of all the lies they've been peddling all over the world, saying that Afrikaners, there is mass expropriation of land without compensation in the country, and now what's happening is that they are panicking. They are issuing statements left, right, and center. They are going out there issuing press conferences saying that they never said that there is mass invasion of land and white people being kicked out of their properties. And look what's happened now. Oh, you're denying the lies have been spreading because now it's going to hit your pocket. And now they're also begging that no sanctions be imposed on South Africa. They are begging that we don't get kicked out of AGOA because it is going to affect their pockets. Why? They plain right lied about what is going on in this country, about the ill treatment of white people and specifically Afrikaners. It's also quite ironic that Donald Trump, who campaigned against immigration because he didn't want immigrants in the United States, and all of a sudden he wants to give these white immigrants from South Africa. I'll tell you what the issue is here. So because they have kicked out, okay, they've kicked out all the Mexicans. They don't want the Mexicans there who are working those farms, okay, in America, being paid a pittance, being paid nothing. And what's happening now is that they don't, and a lot of Mexicans are too afraid to go and work in the farms because they're afraid that they're going to be deported, and this means that the crops are rotting in the fields, and this is going to have an impact in terms of prices. So inflation, prices of food is going to go up in the United States because no one is picking the food, the crops from the fields. And they're thinking that this is how they can combat the situation by getting desperate, poor, white Afrikaners who want to blame something for their poverty, and that is to blame the South African government. And they think that they will find those desperate Afrikaners who are desperate to get out of here, who think that America is a dream. They're going to go and work in those fields where those Mexicans used to work. That's what they're going to do. And they will find that it is not pretty work. And I'm telling you right now, they're going to come back home as soon as they land, because America is no land of milk and honey if you are poor.
So that we will do, but we have to state categorically, we don't want to move elsewhere. We are not going to ask our children now to move to another country. The fact is, our ancestors worked hard to make sure that we as a people are formed down the southern tip of Africa. We're not going to disrespect that. We also have the interests of future generations in mind. We also have to make sure that our culture is transferred to future generations. And that cannot be done abroad. You cannot, in the long term, or there's a real risk, if you go to another country now, there's a real risk that your grandchildren will not say to you in the morning, "Hello, Opa." They would say something like, "Hi, Granddad," or something in that respect. And that we don't want. That is why we...
My theory is that AfriForum wanted Trump to overthrow the South African government. Now, I'm not South African myself, but that sounds a bit like treason to me. But what is actually happening is that Trump is offering Afrikaans people refugee status in America. And now they're going to have to admit that they're not suffering as much as they claim to be in South Africa, because they're not going to want to leave their paradise where they get to dominate over everybody else to go be refugees in America. No ways. Wow. Wow. This is so entertaining and so interesting and so poetic.
Baby, the girls are tussling. They are fighting. They are upset. I don't know if they're upset with us or with themselves, or if they're upset with AfriForum, because how dare AfriForum reject the offer?
What happened to Ubuntu and the Rainbow Nation? I thought that we are all in this together, stronger together. But now we can see how you guys, you blacks, are truly feeling about us. And you know what? When the boer leaves, you guys are going to starve and you guys are going to die because you need us to take care of you. What? What? These comments are crazy. Like, first I was like super angry. I got like heart palpitations and I couldn't sleep Sunday night. I was really angry. I had to actually take what do you call these rescue tablets. What the children of Yan do not understand is, or the optic whites, but what the children of Yan do not understand is, like, if you go out and you squeeze toothpaste right out of the tub, your hatefulness, your empathy, your lack of all of these ugly things that are coming out here on social media, how do you put this back? How do you be like, no, let's try again, we are sorry, because now what AfriForum is doing, they're like, no, we are going to build South Africa, we're going to try and, unite the people. How do you put this back in? Tell me. All of that, but that you've just said now on an international platform. How do you get this? So you can't get it back. You said it. It's a mess now. Do you see? It's a mess. And AfriForum is just sitting back and they're like, no, let the president handle it. Let the president go ask. You go and handle it. You got us into this mess. It's you. And Australia and the UK are also now taking their funding back, and it's affecting them. I mean, it will affect us as well, but it's going to affect them. I know for millions of other black people, we've bent over. I can speak for the last 30 years because I've been here, but we bent over backwards, whether it's cooking for you, cleaning for you, our mothers carrying you, tending to your gardens, carrying your groceries from the store to your car, packing it in your car. What else do we do for them? Whether it's building your infrastructure, digging your gold, farming your lands, looking after your nature reserves. There's so many things that we've been doing. So I do not understand where all of this is coming from. But if you ask me on a deeper level, I would tell you, you know what? I am happy because this was a wound that was refusing to heal. And now it's forced. And I'm happy that South Africans are forcing it. Let's get all of the pus out. Yes, guys. Good luck. And happy Tuesday.
White South Africans are now given refugee status in the US, and as somebody who comes from a country that has been hosting white South Africans for the past decade now as they're seeking refuge, I just want to tell you, and you can ask Australians and Kiwis about this too, because white South Africans have been moving in massive numbers to Australia and New Zealand, so they know what I'm talking about. When white South Africans move to white majority countries, which the US is, they start thinking that because it's a white majority country, that it's a safe space to say inflammatory things about black South Africans. So just an FYI, get ready for that.
One of the things that these people are more afraid of is the fact that, they are about to lose the privilege on the continent where they've been so much privileged. Because the thing is, the reason as to why most of them are saying some of the things they are saying is because they are afraid of equality, just like Julius Malema said, because to them equality is like oppression, right? They don't want to be equal to black people. And unfortunately, most of them, they don't want to leave, but at the same time, they don't want to be equal to a country or to a people that are predominantly black. And that's very, very interesting. And it was so interesting seeing a lot of them and how excited they were that Trump is involved. And I think for sure they wanted him to do something more than this. Daddy, come and do more than this. They are doing this to us, They are not supposed to be doing this to us. Unfortunately, most of these people are super arrogant. Yeah, super arrogant, super entitled. Go ahead in the background and they be doing the same things that they are talking about when it comes to South Africans, but then they don't want to talk about that And for the most part with this land, whatever expropriation act, they'll be like, oh, you know, when we give them back land, what are they going to do with it? Excuse you, like, what kind of, that is one of the most foolish, stupid question you could ever ask. Like, are these people trying to say that black people don't know how to cultivate the land? Are you feeding Ugandans over here? Do we have predominantly a white, you know, South African population that is doing our agriculture? Our people are doing the agriculture, and we have food surplus in my country here in Uganda, where it's predominantly black people, African people. So this narrative that, you know, what are you going to use the land for? That's a lazy, stupid question to ever ask anybody, because we know how to cultivate the land. In fact, we taught most of these people how to, like, and these are the same people, like, you're saying, what are we going to use the land for? Like, the same people that are working your farms, they are the ones that you're asking a question. They have these assumptions that people, you know, okay, I would have given you this car, you know, I mean, but you don't know how to operate it. Those weird assumptions that the person that wants this doesn't know how to use it. And that's very racist to assume that black people are ignorant. And for the most part, lots of them be like, you know, black people are lazy. And they're the same people that are working for you. The lazy people are working for you. For cheap, mind you. That's the reason as to why they don't want to lose this privilege. And that's why they hate people like Julius Malema, but they don't have any problem with AfriForum and people of that caliber coming on the internet saying and literally formulating and forming all these allegations of South Africans are doing this to us, or, you know, we need help and all of that, this and that, right? Yeah, they don't have a problem with their own because they are arrogant, they are entitled, and they are super used to privilege. And in any way, when black people are like, you know what, we need to, you know, distribute resources equally, they will always come to accuse the leaders of the ANC. Mind you, apartheid happened just about a few years ago, and most of the people that were perpetrating apartheid are still alive, and they're the same people that are still owning the farms. So I hope you see the thread and where it is coming from. It is coming from the fact that the same people that perpetrated this are still alive and they are still owning this. And they want to keep this and transfer it through generations and generations. They'll be like, oh, you know, we should forget about the past. Should we? Should we forget the past when there are, you know, residues of the past that is still lingering in the, like, in the air, in the atmosphere? It's all there, right? And then these people need to even literally be charged as traitors. This is treason, like, to be honest. And Julius Malema was like, you know what, at the end of the day, you guys have somewhere to go. And I think this is a message that I have for black people all over the continent. You, my brothers and sisters in South Africa, this is for you guys. People come out to tell you that the so-called rainbow nation that most of you are so proud of is really not something that is practical, because deep down there is a group of people that you reside and live with and call your own that never see you as their own, and they will do whatever it takes. If it needs them to go and ask for Trump to come and help and reinstate them at the top and you go down, they will do it. And also, you see how quick most of them are like, you know, oh, it's okay, I would like to go because at the end of the day, there's no future over here. Also, you see those that are saying, you know, our future is here, we are indigenous to this land, you know, we are Afrikaners, we are not Europeans. You're Europeans. Why do you deny when it benefits you? If it benefited you to claim being European, you would claim that. But now that at this point, it's your farm, it's your money that is at stake, you don't want to be, like, literally sanctioned because, you know, you make a lot of money off these farms and the lands. Yeah, wherever, you know, palm-colored people are, they are on one chord. You realize how quick it is. And I think this is, for me, something that I noticed even a long time ago. You realize how quick it is for the palm-colored people in the US to relate to the situation that is happening to a situation that is not even in existence, right? But how they're real quick to respond to their people. They're like, we are going to give you a refugee status, but how many people have been denied a refugee status in the United States? In fact, this same country, Magaman, is getting rid of other people to clear a way for Afrikaners to come and be in America. You understand, for a crisis that is not even happening. I hope you saw that video where that guy was forcing a black person in a coffin. All the things that they are saying black people are doing to them, they are doing it to them 1,000 times. But you see how palm-colored people will literally respond to any uncomfortable situation relating to their own because they are spoiled, they are so privileged. Any palm-colored person that comes out crying, they'll be like, oh my God, our people, our people, our people. But haven't we seen what these people have been doing to South Africa, and none of these people are even coming out to really sue or put anything in place to check their people and put them in their position, like in their place? Haven't we seen all the crisis that is happening all around the world in black countries, Congo, Sudan, and more other countries where all this crisis is happening, but then these people really don't give a damn. But as soon as an Afrikaner cries, they're taking the land away from us. Yeah, the thing is, what you want to be compensated for? Like, do you have proof that you got this land legally? But not just that. Do you have proof that you're using this land? If you're not using it, why don't you give it up? You just want to still feel powerful in a country that is predominantly black, and then 80% of the assets and the wealth is owned by palm-colored people, and they're saying black people are lazy. What are they going to do with these mines? Leave and see what they are going to do, and stop comparing Zimbabwe to South Africa, because if Mugabe was still there, things would be in good whatever. But also don't assume that you are the same people that are feeding Kenya, you're the same people that are feeding, Nigeria, you're the same people that are feeding all the rest of the world. No. Black people know how to manage and handle their land. This narrative that these people keep spreading, it should stop. We want to see them out. I hope they get out, because it would be so good. And for you palm-colored people that are receiving these people, you better watch out. You better watch out. I am warning you. These are one of the most ill-mannered, entitled, arrogant people you will ever receive. So, these are one of the worst type of palm color. There will be a problem to you too. Anywho, what do you my people think? Please subscribe to the channel if you have not, and sign up for my channel membership. Yeah, become a member on here and support us. I will definitely see you in another amazing video. Until then, my name is Gracie and I love you. Bye.